All right, guys, we're moving on. Wide receiver, Kenny Stills. Or not Kenny Stills. Wide receiver, Will
I was like, what? Where
Fuller,
did he go?
formerly known as.
Disrespect, man.
All right, my bad. Will Fuller moving to Miami, baby, on a 1-year deal, so he can get some more of those. Don't they do like stuff in Miami? No offense, but he's got a past, and I hope that he's put it behind him. Anyways, for fantasy purposes, I think this is a great move. It gives Tua another weapon to develop with. DeVante Parker, Preston Williams, Gasecki, whoever they decide to put in that running back backfield. I think this is shaping up to be a very nice receiving core. Jacob, I'll hand this one off to you first. How do you feel, man? I mean, I completely agree that Will Fuller might even be he'll probably be the wide receiver 2 in that role, but I do like it. What about you?
I honestly am not a big fan of this, and I think you guys might disagree. But look, for Tua, this is good. For the more talented players you put around Tua, the more successful he's going to be. So if you're a Tua owner in Dynasty or whatever, or you're hoping he could get up to top 12, this is good. But if you're looking at Will Fuller, obviously to me, this is a huge downgrade. Let's say hypothetically, and I don't think this is going to happen, but hypothetically, Deshaun Watson does play for Houston this year. I don't think it's going to happen. But if he does, then I would much rather prefer Fuller back in Houston. With this situation, I don't know how pass heavy this offense is going to be. I mean, I think they're going to run a lot. I think Tua's safe, and I don't think he's going to get it downfield to Will Fuller that often. And I don't watch college football that much, but I've heard people talk about how a lot of Tua's wide receivers were wide open at Alabama. That he was kind of. And then he comes into the NFL and everybody's heavily covered, like very closely covered. And if Will Fuller can get open and get down the field and Tua can just get it to him, maybe it will be a good match. But I think Fuller definitely downgraded. Well, while Fuller was on his way to a top 10 season last year before the suspension, I think he's looking more back to where he was before last season.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you there. And when I said coming over, I see him as the wide receiver 2 in that on that team.
So DeVante Parker.
Yeah. And again, that's a team that's still trying to find their offensive identity. It's contingent on the development of Troy Tua, whatever you call his last name. So we'll have to see how that pans out. But I forgot to even go to you first, Joe, because you are the new resident Dolphins fan here. You just tied into it by marriage now, I guess. So we'll let you see what's your take.
Listen, guys. I'm going to make our boy Gio very happy, but I came into this summer and I told you guys, I remember when we did the wide receiver episode, I said, Will Fuller is, you guys didn't even have him on the top list. He was on the secondary list. And I said, this is my guy. I said, the hell with it. Every time he's been healthy, he's been a baller, right? He didn't get hurt last year. He got suspended for PEDs. That's unfortunate. I don't know why he was taking them. Maybe it was to stay healthy or maybe he just made a bad decision, whatever. I think he's a fantastic player. And I looked at Tua last year and I said, you know what? They're super safe with him. But then I started thinking, man, this isn't the first time a team has been super safe with a quarterback, right? And then he all of a sudden blows up. The reality is Tua was coming off a big injury, right? He's obviously talented. You don't get drafted as a top 5 pick if you're not talented. So, yes, why put him in a position to fail? Why put him in a position to get hurt? I was honestly suspect that they even let him play. I thought they should have just rode with Ryan Fitzpatrick. They were winning games. Why not just let Tua take the season and, get healthy? But, then everybody starts, to question him even more. So you had to put – in today's NFL, there is no waiting 3 years on the bench. You wait 6 games and people are already questioning, was it a mistake to draft that guy? So I think – this is the best thing that you can do. You want Tua to be successful? Well, he had a pretty decent touchdown interception rate, for a rookie, 11-5. He had a pretty good completion percentage, 64%. I look at another guy who had pretty similar stats and played only 11 games to start his career, and that was my guy Josh Allen, who had a 52% completion percentage, so not as good as Tua. His touchdowns were 10, his interceptions were 12, so he was a 1 to 1.2. That's awful. He only threw 2,000 yards. And now Josh Allen is the guy we all know and love, and he's a top 5 quarterback hands down next year, and he put up 40 touchdowns and 4,500 yards. I'm not saying Tua ever gets there. I'm just saying I'm not ready to write him off because of last year. So what do? I get him my favorite wide receiver, a big bomb deep threat, a guy who's shown that he could do more than that after they traded Hopkins. He was getting big games. So I like this. As long as Fuller stays healthy, I don't have him as the wide receiver 2. I think he is the wide receiver 1. DeVante Parker, you need to fall in line.
Wow. I couldn't disagree with you more. I
what
think
has DeVante Parker shown in his years?
Well, and to be honest, like Ryan Fitzpatrick was the one getting DeVante Parker the ball, and DeVante Parker was solid last year when he wasn't injured. He's always injured, but I guess this is a theme of today.
Yeah.
I don't think he's better than Fuller when it just comes down to pure talent. But I just think he's been on this team. He's already played with Tua. He's familiar with them, that it's going to carry over into this season, and that it would take time for Fuller to kind of get comfortable with Tua or vice versa.
That's fair. I mean, in 14 games that Parker played last year, Will Fuller had 100 more yards in 11 games. He had 10 more receptions in 3 less games and 100 more yards, and he had 8 touchdowns compared to DeVante Parker.
But he was catching balls from Deshaun Watson.
I don't disagree. 100%. He was catching balls from Deshaun Watson. You're 1,000% right. But Ryan Fitzpatrick, what we know about this guy is he airs it out, right? They put up 30-something on the Niners, so it wasn't like they were scoring.
I think this has to be a book it down somewhere around here. I think there has to be a book it down.
There is a book it down.
I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to say,
but we got to come up with something fair,
both of these guys are injury prone. So let's do it the same way that we did our last book it down, which is 10 plus games. We'll do a point per games, right? So
this one's interesting because they're on the same team too.
Yeah, I love it. So if they both play 10 games, then we look at the point per game. I'd say even 8 games. 8 games seems like you play half the season. We look at it on a point per game level. I think Fuller smokes DeVante this year.
Okay, so DeVante Parker and Will Fuller are our players.
Actually, it's becoming more and more interesting.
And so what? Are we doing an 8-game minimum?
10.
Yeah, I'd say 8 because these are both injury.
Because we both know it's like when we did the Matthew Stafford and Fitzpatrick one, like the only reason we chose 10 games is because Fitzpatrick might not start the games for not injury reasons, but other reasons.
Yeah. These guys are hurt. I'd say 8 games.
So we also have to figure out, we'll decide later, but you know how in most of our leagues we have bonuses? I think we have to take that out and just do like a standard scoring, not standard, but I mean like regular scoring league with no bonuses.
PPR. I'm good with that. Yeah.
We'll look it up and look into it. But I got all right.
I agree. Fuller's more likely to hit those 150-yard bonuses. So yeah, we'll take those out. That's fine.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going Fuller on this one. I'm going.
There you go.
Points per game basis. Okay.
There you go.
I think that there's a lot we haven't seen yet of Will Fuller because of the injury prone and all that has happened in his career with the suspension last season. Yes, he's had Deshaun Watson throwing the ball to him, and he's been great doing that. We didn't see that relationship get off to a good start with DeVante Parker and Troy Tua, whatever you say his name is. I think he finds that bond with someone else. I think Will Fuller is more of a deep threat. I think he can also fit in the slot. I think he's more versatile than DeVante Parker. I think there are better options for him on that team.
Parker had that one amazing year, and that's no discredit to him. I was in big on him that year, and I still think he's a damn good player. I mean, Jacob, I know that I've talked to you about this for so long was, why can't this guy figure it out? He's got all the talent in the world. And he finally seems to be figuring it out.
I think it was injuries, obviously, and in quarterback play. And to me, if you take DeVante Parker, put him on the Texans right now, and they play a full year next season, I think DeVante Parker is easy top 10 fantasy wide receiver.
Sure, but Will Fuller was on his way.
But you could say that about a lot of receivers, right?
Yeah. Like I said, Will Fuller was on his way to being top 5 before he got suspended. He had 900 yards, 8 touchdowns, 53 receptions in 11 games.
I was loving it. I had him in your league, actually.
Yeah.
I was loving it.
It was the buzz.
We can leave this to the Twitterverse to the side. We'll put up a poll later. We'll see what you guys have to say as well. For the time being, it is a book it down in progress. We'll figure out those details later and talk about it later.